Superman number 17, written by Scott Lobdell, art by Kenneth Rocafort. This is the finale to Hell on Earth, and I guess something kind of theoretically happens. So last issue, Superman got blasted into space by Hell, one of his punches, and we see opening up on Superman crashing into something, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm not even close to the moon. What did I crash into? And it turns out he landed into the Oracle, that giant stone space guy who is making his way to Earth. And the narration here says that he's coming to bear witness to threats to the flow of time and space. So that's his whole thing. And Superman just looks at him and he's like, hey, are you alive? Are you like a thing? Can you talk? And then the Oracle floods his brain with a whole bunch of images of, I guess, before he left Krypton. Like, it just seems to be Krypton stuff. And Clark is like, I don't know what that... Are you telling me Hell makes it back to Krypton? What are you saying here? And then the Oracle just fades away. And he doesn't really ever come back. So that just happened. And Superman's like, all right, well, I got to get back down to Earth, deal with that whole thing. Batman calls in being like, hey, Superman, we've managed to control most of the natural disaster stuff, but like, you really got to take out Hell. And he's like, yeah, thanks. Got it. I'm working on it. So then we go back down to Hell, and finally, as in the last issue, Supergirl learned the truth that Hell is planning on sacrificing a whole bunch of human lives. And he once again makes the point, like, I'm changing the timeline. It's not going to be the same, and they will be alive in the new timeline. And she points out, well, what if you don't succeed? Then they'll all be dead for nothing. And he's like, screw you. I've worked too hard for this. I don't want you anymore. You suck. And we see Superboy and Wonder Woman trying to tear apart his battery thing that's sucking out the sunlight or whatever. And Superboy does end up breaking it apart with his telekinesis, which genuinely surprises Hell. He didn't know that that was even possible, but he's like, all right, whatever. I've already charged up my ship enough. I don't need the battery anymore. So he starts using his telekinetic abilities or whatever he's got, and he's looking for the right portal through time to take his ship through. And who cares? He does like... Every time he talks, he has a monologue of like, I'm doing this for the lives of millions, no, billions, and none of you can stop me. And everyone just responds with like, but we will. Just assume that's happening on every page. So at that point, he's about to attack Wonder Woman. Superboy's super weak, but then Superman comes in and just knocks him down and starts throwing in some major punches into him. And apparently the punches are so strong, not only can they be felt in the center of the Earth, they can also be felt in the Watchtower satellite, however many thousands of miles above the Earth. So yeah, that's a thing. And Supergirl, she got knocked out earlier by Hell once he said, I'm done with you. And she lands next to a little shard of kryptonite. And she's like, I know what I must do. So at this point, the ship's still looking through all the time portals or whatnot. And Superman's like, wait a minute. This was your plan all along. You knew Superboy was going to tear apart your battery so that way your ship would have access to these portals. And I'm like, no. 2 pages ago, he was genuinely surprised. He wasn't even talking to anybody. It was just himself. So that's just wrong. You're wrong, Superman. But regardless, Hell then lands a supermassive punch on Superman, knocking him across Antarctica. Superboy and Wonder Woman go up to check in on him, and Hell's like, all right, you know what? Nah, I'm happy I'm killing humans. You all suck. You're the worst. You guys think you're oh so special, but you're not. And I'm happy to be killing you. So I'm out. Screw you all. And as he's about to get into his spaceship, Supergirl's like, wait, Hell. And she's looking super sick. She's like holding her stomach. She's like, bring me with you. And he's like, all right, how could I say no to that face? Yeah, come on in. And Superman's like, no, don't do it. And he wraps them up in some sort of like telekinetic net or something like that. And as Supergirl makes her way in, he's like, you ain't looking so hot. Please don't throw up in the spaceship. And she pulls out the kryptonite shard and shoves it into Hell's chest. I do want to point out that last issue, they made a very special point that Hell had like a Bizarro-style House of L crest carved into his chest. It's gone now. He doesn't have that anymore. It just disappeared. I hate that. So she stabs Hel, and Hel's like, oh God, do you know what you've done, Kara? And she's like, yes, I've saved this planet. Earth will be spared, even if it means Krypton has to go. And he's like, all right, well, I forgive you for killing me, and I always loved you. And she's like, I don't really care, Hel. You're kind of a dick. So then Superman manages to escape from his binding. Hel seems to fall through a portal in time, and then everything's just fine. Like, apparently, we don't have to fix anything that happened. The world's just gonna be okay. I guess it all dissipated or whatever. But Kara's still extremely ill because she was next to that kryptonite for so long. So Superman picks her up, flies her over to the fortress where she's able to get some medical care. As we see, the Oracle is... I mean, I'm just going to read this straight up. If the Oracle could experience motion, its temptation might be to express joy, but it would only be momentary, for the Oracle knows that Superman's actions here today will exact an unspeakable toll on everything Kal-El holds dear, and perhaps one day even the Omniverse itself. I don't believe a damn word of that. But then we get an epilogue of decades ago, 12 years before Krypton explodes. Back on Krypton, Jor-El stumbles into a cave, and inside it is Hel. Yep. Okay. I think the worst part of this event is it took so goddamn long, and I don't even know what the point of it was. Like, I think the only goal of this event was to bring together all the super books, because they were all just kind of doing their own things, and it's like, all right, let's get everybody on the same page here so that everyone knows everybody else. And even with all of that, I still don't feel like there's a very good link between Superboy and Supergirl. Like, they didn't really have a moment. They were just always enemies the whole way through. Ugh. The whole Oracle thing, stupid. Hel going through time, like, barely makes any sense. And then that stupid carving on his chest. Did someone just not get the character memo? Was that it? Was somebody drawing this stuff and they're like, oh, I see on this, he has a little backwards crest. But they're like, no, that's version 1.0. We're on version 1.2 now. Get with the times. I don't know. I don't care. This event was stupid. Not the worst thing. I think it had the bare bones of something good, but just way too stretched out and far too few consequences in the end. It just felt like, oh, we don't know how to end it, so Supergirl stabs him. The end. It's like, all right, well, fine, whatever. Overall, I got to give this particular issue. I know it's taking the brunt of the entire event on it, and it's probably not that bad in its own right, but I got to give this one like a 5. It pissed me off knowing that this is where the story all led to, and it just meant nothing. All the way through, all those issues, all those tie-ins, nothing. So yeah, 5 for this. I do not recommend Hell on Earth.